Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty at a Haggerty10 Twitter handle, as you know, and it's Monday, February the 13th. And I'm joined today by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW. Good weekend, Sean, was it?
It was decent, aye. Saturday night was not bad. Aye.
Did you enjoy that?
Aye, decent. Yourself?
Well, yes, indeed, good performance. All's well that ends well, as they say. We'll go on to talk about that. But first and foremost, we'll do what we always do every morning, and we'll tell you all about our deals and our offers. And this is a belter. You can win 2 Celtic v Rangers League Cup final tickets by subscribing to the Celtic Way website. And it'll cost you £1 for 3 months of full access to everything that we do on the site. And by the click of a button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And as we told you the other day, that's open to all subscribers, new and existing subscribers. If you're an existing subscriber, you'll get an email in your inbox. Fill in the form and send it back, and you'll be in the draw. And new subscribers, you do the same. Click of a button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Cracking prize, Sean. Can be at Hampden for Celtic Rangers League Cup final. Can't say fairer than that, can we?
Oh, it's a great prize. I was going to say I've been in contact with a few people who were already subscribers and didn't get the email. I would say check your spam folders, and also if you're in, like, for instance, Gmail, there's a search function at the top. I would just search for the Celtic Way as well, because a couple of people, it was in their spam folders for some reason, but it was there. So just and if any problems, get in touch with one of us on Twitter or Instagram, or not Instagram, Twitter, or through the site's emails and different things. So we'll try and sort you out.
Excellent. And also, we say thank you to our sponsors. The Celtic Way Morning Briefing is now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group, and SENECA are the #1 for hair transplants and hair treatments in Europe. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the video below. So there you have it, Sean. Celtic 5, St Mirren 1. Celtic into the last 8 of the Scottish Cup. Up until 77 minutes or so, it was 1-0 and it ended up 5-1, Sean. Did you see that coming? Tell the truth now.
What, the 5-1? No, because I said 2-1, 2-0, didn't I? So, no, I didn't see it coming, but I think it was a good performance, though. I think, despite the context of it, 5-1 maybe flattering it a wee bit in terms of the way that the actual game played out, because I thought St Mirren did play quite well. I think they created enough to score, and they did score. Celtic were just Celtic, I think. It might still have been 1-0 getting into the last kind of quarter of the game, but between the subs and the situation of the game that they entered, it meant that not only did the intensity kind of have to be maintained, but to their credit, I thought the likes of O'Reilly, Hatate and O actually increased it. Haksabanovic too, when he came on slightly later. Still maintained, by the way, we'll see a lot more of him when he gets a proper run. But I think the subs made a massive impact in terms of the intensity. And I know Celtic were already winning when most of them came on. But I do think that it was a different situation. We had a conversation after the game on the phone, and I said it to you as well. It was a different kind of situation from the last kind of cup game where the likes of maybe Iwata came on at half time and you're already 4-0 up. It's a different context. I know they were still winning, but 1-0 against a team that was actually playing quite well is a different context from coming on when you're 4-0 up and cruising. There's a different urgency required, a different mentality required. And I think, to all the subs' credit, they not only maintained the level, they ended up making it a 5-1 win.
Well, the manager's always talking about you either go for 65 minutes or half an hour, but you have the chance to impact the match, Sean. 4 out of the 5 goals came from 3 substitutes. That tells you your answer, doesn't it? A penalty from Hatate, a cracker from Hatate to make it 5. Excellent goal from Matt O'Reilly, and getting off the mark, the first goal in Celtic colours with a predatory striker's instinct goal, Sean. So very pleasing in terms of that. But everyone talking about the penalty decision that changed the game, saying it was a harsh red card, but we spoke about that. It's the denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, isn't it?
I mean, at first I thought, did that actually hit his hand? Initially, I thought they were checking the second St Mirren
player on it. Yeah,
it was obviously the first one, and I think once they go over and decide that it is a handball, it's got to be a red card at that point, given the situation. Abada was putting it in the goal, basically, is what they would see with that. So I can see why people think that it was hard done by, and certainly if you were the St Mirren player, you'd feel, well, if that's double jeopardy. But ultimately, once they decide it as a handball, he's got to throw the red, as far as I can see.
Yeah, I mean, and I have to say, I thought, as you say as well, that last 15, 20 minutes, the tempo just really increased. And Celtic went for it, and it ended up 5-1. People say it wasn't a 5-1 game, but it ended up 5-1 because Celtic didn't let up. They didn't see the game out at 1-0 or 2-0. They went in search of more goals and did what Celtic do to teams and hurt them, and they have the players to do that, and that's going back to the strength and depth coming off the bench. I mean, O'Reilly, Hatate, and Haksabanovic coming off the bench. I mean, excellent stuff, isn't it?
I think it was again, the whole intensity thing. We talk about it all the time, but it is difficult sometimes when Celtic are cruising and you come on to up or maintain an intensity that frankly doesn't need to be there, as much as the intent is that's what happens. But this was a different situation because it was a team, as I say, that were playing well, and it was only 1-0, which is precarious, but especially in a cup tie. So credit to the subs, credit to Ange Postecoglou for making the subs, obviously, but credit to the subs themselves for not only inserting themselves in a game in the manner in which they did, but having such a positive impact on it.
And I do credit St Mirren for coming and having a go, but at no stage did I think that Celtic were going to concede. I've got to be honest. I thought the guys at the back were excellent, so I felt protected and comfortable that they would, unless somebody did something stupid. Carl Starfelt was clumsy, but he did it 3-0. So I still didn't think there was a kind of comeback on it. I thought it was always going to be a consolation goal for St Mirren. So I didn't feel that Celtic were going to concede. I just thought it took a while for the second goal to come, but when it came, that was it. There was everybody kind of relaxed after that, and they did go about their business and things stay off that. But I have to credit St Mirren for making a game of it and making it a cup tie. Let's be honest,
No, I agree. I think 5-1 for like an observer that might not look at the context of the game, people might go 5-1 to Celtic, or St Mirren get smashed, and that's what happens if you go and try and take the game to Celtic. But for 70, 75, 76 minutes, they played well enough that they would have. If it finished 1-0, I think everybody would still be, to be fair to the commenters, most people are still saying what Ian McIntosh is saying there. Enjoyed it, St Mirren gave us a game. But I think people would still say that even if it was 1-0 and not 5-1. So I think it's to St Mirren's credit in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, and that's St Mirren have given Celtic a game more often than not this season. Beat them in Paisley in September, as we spoke about on Friday. So I have to applaud that. They've got a good work rate and work ethic, and they play for each other and they play for their manager. So I was quite impressed by that, to be fair.
I'm going to put this up. Pete McGee saying, yes, Tony, but it was against 10 men, so let's be realistic. St Mirren were well in the game until the penalty. I see what I do. Obviously, there's a caveat that they did go down to 10 men, Tony, but sometimes having the extra man, and obviously you do have an extra man, so you should take advantage of it, but sometimes teams don't take advantage of having that extra man. Celtic not only took advantage of it, they smashed it home. They went, no, listen, we've got an extra man. That you don't want that against Celtic of any team, and they made St Mirren feel it. Yeah,
they did. Correct, and that's what you do when teams go down to 10 men. Or realistically, that's what you do. I'm going to flick this up from Derek Crawford. Yeah, I thought that the penalty that he gave Ibrox was similar to that one on Saturday.
In terms of not like in terms of just going in, just diving in, absent-mindedly. He's a front foot defender. He does that in 90% of the time he'll win the ball. Yeah, but obviously. That's quite costly examples of when he doesn't win a ball, and he perhaps didn't need to necessarily go in the way that he did.
I just think it was needless, and it's clumsy, and you're that old adage, you're giving the referee a decision to make type thing. But I just think when you look at the two of them, those two incidents, that the penalties. I mean, stay on your feet if you're a defender, especially in the penalty area. Regardless if you think the ball can be won, you always run that risk. And he didn't have to do that. And St Mirren were playing well enough that they might have rallied, but it was still a tall order for them to rally at that stage. But they got them a goal back out of nothing, out of nowhere. So I just and it's not a Starfelt bashing. I'm just talking about the art of defending. We spoke to Alan Stubbs about the art of defending when he was talking about Cameron Carter-Vickers the other day, and Cameron Carter-Vickers won the man of the match in a 5-1 game for Celtic. So there's a wee anomaly there. He was excellent, but that would indicate that St Mirren were terrific and kept them busy. I kind of questioned that a wee bit, but that's just myself. Because I thought Maeda was a worthy candidate of winning the man of the match. Just my own personal opinion, but people feel free to disagree or throw in your own. But yeah, it was just an observation about Starfelt that I just don't like that way he's dived in twice.
Yeah.
Ibrox in there and giving away needless penalties, in my opinion. Andrew Gillier,
I think that's fair enough. Aye. I mean, in terms of other individuals, we mentioned the subs already, but of the starters, I thought Cameron Carter-Vickers again. I mean, unparalleled consistency, I suppose. we were talking about him where you mentioned Stubbs the other day. We were talking about him then. Thought Greg Taylor was in good form again, especially passing-wise. I thought Alistair Johnston's delivery looked a wee bit better on this occasion. I know he never got an assist, but I thought he was putting, in terms of dangerous balls into dangerous areas, I think he was doing a wee bit better on this occasion. I don't know what you thought.
Yeah, I thought he's clearly worked on it, hasn't he?
I think he's got to, because he's going to get into those areas so often with Celtics. He's got to be able to either pick someone out or put it into an area.
Yeah, and he's been told that. He's clearly been told, hasn't he? That you need to start thinking more about what you're doing when you do charge into those areas. And as you say, either pick someone out or hit an area where you think somebody should be. And I love the fact that the first goal was a very Kyogo-esque goal from Dyson Maeda, and it came 90 seconds after he'd left the park.
Yeah.
And I just thought, it's drilled into you repeatedly when someone gets the ball in the wide areas, attacking your post, because they'll find you. And a great example of that was, by Maeda just doing what Kyogo does and profited from it and got the first goal, the open goal. And it was. I was really chuffed at that.
Well, I suppose that leads us on to Kyogo's injury. Ange Postecoglou said after the game he'd have a scan. That's the latest. He's, as far as we're aware, he would have had the scan yesterday. That's when he said he was going to have it. So you need to wait for news on that. But that injury on Saturday screwed us in more ways than one, didn't it, Tony? Because we were going to do a newsletter this week, basically saying, listen, if Kyogo does get injured, don't worry too much, because not only has O been signed, but Maeda will go through the middle. Abada can get in there too. Plus, there's Alexa Joey Dawson can come up for the squad, all that kind of stuff. But obviously, it physically played out in front of us at Parkhead, so we can't really do it.
Yeah, the two of us were like a collective gasp, weren't they, when we saw him go down and realised he had to come off. And Ange Postecoglou himself said it in the coach, didn't he? He's got a... he does obviously watching Kyogo, sure he said he's got an issue with it, didn't he? But he's a quick healer and it didn't look so bad. Or he's hoping that it's not bad news.
Scott McGill
likes the look of him. Maeda through the middle, should Kyogo scan be bad news?
I mean, that's what I was going to say. The points still stand. I mean, we might not write it in a newsletter now, but the points do still stand. That Maeda went through the middle and scored. Abada came on and I think he did well. Then later on, O came on, scored and made an impact off the ball too. Now, obviously, given Postecoglou said Kyogo will need the scan, then it wasn't as much as he never get rushed straight to hospital then, because he was sitting in the dugout and he was milling about after the game and stuff. He still said he needed a scan. So the results of that, we'll see when it happens, but it is still major because it's Kyogo. He's the informed star man up front, and there's a cup final in a couple of weeks. But in general, it's not absolute red alert panic stations, is it? Because even in the comments, people are saying, listen, don't mind Maeda up front.
Yep. Yeah, correct.
And if anything, it might lead to Haksabanovic getting a wee bit more of the game time as well. So.
And also, I remember Kyogo was injured in the lead up to last season's cup final.
Aye, somebody mentioned that exact thing. He was injured before that as well. Remember? But
I wrote it in the piece after, saying there was history, what chance in history or price in history repeating itself. So you would take that all day, wouldn't you? But
even earlier this season, back in September, he went off after 4 minutes in that 4-0 Glasgow derby win with a shoulder injury. He made the bench. People forget he made the bench the very next game, 3 days later against Real Madrid. He came on for 20 minutes. Now, obviously, that in itself tells you he wasn't quite ready to start, because he probably would have started if he was fit enough to start. But he still made the bench 3 days after it.
Yeah.
Came on for 20 minutes. He then started the game after that, which was 11 days after the Rangers game. Now, no two injuries are the same. Obviously, just because it's a shoulder and it was a shoulder back then doesn't mean it's the same time frame. Could be worse, could be better. I don't know yet. But the cup final's 2 weeks after the St Mirren game. So, again, I wouldn't be necessarily pressing the panic button yet.
No. You and I had a conversation there on Saturday night when we said Kyogo just do the lethal weapon thing and just
the Martin Riggs
locker, just wallop it back into place. For those who are of a vintage that know the Lethal Weapon films, character used to just whack his shoulder back into place off various lockers, didn't he, and various hard surfaces. So we'll see what he's made of. But I'm not particularly panicked about Kyogo, because I don't think the manager was he?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he would have let it be known if he was anyway. But no, I think, and when you look back, which I did earlier on, the way that he reacts to any injuries is pretty muted anyway. I mean, Carter Vickers, arguably the most important player up there with Callum McGregor, and Carter Vickers was out for a few games earlier in the season, and each time it was like he's carrying a knock or he's a wee bit sore and all that, and he's been out for a couple of games now, like that kind of thing. So he's always muted, he's always understated about injuries, generally speaking anyway. So he reacted pretty much the same way to after the one in September.
Yeah.
He said it was basically exactly the same thing. It's a shoulder issue. He's a quick healer. We'll see. We'll assess him. That's all he said back then. That's all he said at the weekend. With obviously the addition that he'll get a scan. But that's just what he's like. So it didn't give much of an indication either way. So we'll see what they say. But again, given his previous shoulder injury, I'm hoping that it's a similar situation where even if for the next game he's maybe coming off the bench or he's maybe even not in the squad, but I think for that cup final, I think he will be back, Tony, and I think you might have convinced me to back that.
Now, Sean, Scottish Cup draw tonight.
Yep.
5:30, I believe, is that right?
Yes, I don't think it's on TV at all, though, even though the Darvel game's on TV, Darvel v Falkirk. I think it's just on the social media channels, so I think it's a Scottish Cup Twitter account and different things that it will be on. But
it's opening up.
I mean, Hearts, Kilmarnock, Rangers, Ayr United, Cali Thistle, Wraith Rovers, and then Celtic, obviously, and then whoever wins out of Darvel or Falkirk. So, who do you fancy, Tony?
MD, really, I don't care. I've got to be honest. Preferably at home, but I've got to say you've got to beat them all, haven't you? There was lots of commenters on social media last night saying they would like Rangers at home. I'm always of the opinion play Rangers at the earliest possible stage, because you're going to have to beat them at some point. So home or away, it doesn't really bother me. I just think the team would be certainly up for it and would be able to cope with a game against Rangers if that's what it was. So I take him to be sure. I don't really care. Obviously,
to be honest, no. I think
I
think just for the novelty of not playing a team that you play all the time, then one of the teams in the lower divisions, I think I would probably pick. Not because conceivably they're easier, because it doesn't always play out that way. No. Just in general terms, just for someone that you've not played in a while. So maybe Wraith Rovers or whoever wins out of Darvel and Falkirk, that kind of thing. Yeah.
But I'm always of the opinion if you can't beat Rangers in a cup tie, then you don't deserve to win the cup anyway. So it's so I'm always like that. I would prefer Rangers at the early rounds as possible if you can draw them. So Patrick McLaughlin, another home draw will do, keep up the momentum. Scott McGill give his Rangers. Yeah, I mean, that's Brian Roberts Rangers, definitely. Yeah, nah, I just think it would be an excellent tie, so yeah, I mean, as I say, I look at the draw and who's left, and I just think Celtic are capable of beating.
Sorry, I'm laughing because my heart skipped a beat there. I thought David Ferguson was revealing an exclusive transfer or something. He says, who starts up front for Toronto? Or Maeda. Don't do that to me. I thought something had happened. I thought Maeda was on a plane to Canada.
Yes. Well, listen, as I said, I touched upon O's goal. I thought he showed great predatory and striker instinct to score. Great for him that he's off the mark. Really loved the fact that every outfield player went to celebrate with him and they were really happy for him. And just that whole camaraderie thing that you've seen a lot of the times with Celtic, and then doing the Kyogo style celebration at the end when Joe Hart was telling him what to do. I like that as well, but that just makes them feel that they're really part of it, and it's something that you like to see, and it helps the player as well. Now he's off the mark.
Been practicing that, Tony.
He has indeed, because it was pretty perfect, wasn't he?
I think that's how he knocked on his manager's door over in Suwon. I think that's how he was there.
Yeah, he was quite perfect with that, and so I like all that, Sean. I'm all for strikers getting off the mark pretty quickly before it does become, a kind of albatross round their neck, and it goes X amount of games. So he scored, he can relax, just let it flow from now on, and I'm sure he will. And he's seen it. Derek Croft seems to be settled in well, Tony. The dancing was class. Yeah, I'd rather he was a better striker than dancer, but at the moment, he's dancing.
It might go hand in hand, Tony. Movement in and around the box and all that, twinkle toes, all that kind of stuff.
I'm hoping, yeah. I'm hoping to give him a 10 from Len at some point, Sean. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Does that make me Bruno, does it? Still think, TJ the legend says, still think it's too early for O to start. I think that was a given. I think you could read into that the fact that Abada came on and Maeda went through the middle.
Yes.
Because it was so early in the game, I think that's a fair comment from TJ. I think he's got a plan for building up those minutes, and it didn't include an almost, probably when you take in stoppage time, almost an 80-minute run out, 75 minutes, whatever way you want to put it. I think he stuck to that because he knows that Maeda's capable of going through the middle. Abada would even have been capable of going through the middle there as well, but ultimately, I think he's got a plan and he managed it without getting put off it just because it was Kyogo that was going off. Yeah.
And even if you're still talking about options, Sean Haksabanovic could probably play through the middle.
He can, he has before, yeah.
So he's done it before. So there is a plethora of options here. If, as you say, he has a plan to ease O into, with these minutes, and I think that's exactly what the manager was doing. Anyone else strike you on Saturday, Sean? David Turnbull got a chance, but didn't seem to take it, did he?
Nah, I don't think he did as well as what he has in some of his substitute appearances. I seen a comment. I don't think I favourited it. I didn't, but the comment basically says that the starting midfield trio in general weren't great. It was Matt O'Reilly and Raul Hatate. When they came on, the two of them really elevated it. Don't know what your thoughts are on that, because I don't think they were terrible particularly, but I certainly don't think they were.
I actually thought Moy was breaking the lines and getting into some good positions in an attacking sense. Thought he did. Of the midfielders, he was the best. Aaron Moy for me. McGregor still okay, but he had a quietish game by his normal high standards, but he was still decent enough. As I say, they deployed man markers on Turnbull and McGregor, didn't they? So it was hard to find space, and I thought the one who found space the best and the most out of the three that started was Aaron Moy. But then it could just get lifted up a notch when Hatate and O'Reilly came on because of both their ability to find a pass and their ability to drift into space and play others in. It cranked up a notch, which was great. And I delighted for Matt O'Reilly. Cracking goal, and just you kind of saw the relief, didn't you?
He did, you saw. He never even celebrated. He just kind of exhaled.
Yeah.
As if finally it's there. I mean, it's all overdue because it's not as if he's, and I know, generally speaking, with Aaron Moy's upturn in form, it almost makes Matt O'Reilly's form looked as if it really tailed off, but he wasn't doing that bad. It was certainly not quite on the Moyes level for a month or whatever it is there, but he wasn't necessarily poor. But the fact that he also hadn't scored and he missed a couple of chances fed into the perception that it was probably worse than what it actually was. Hopefully, that maybe spurs him on to score another few, but ultimately, see if he scores maybe one again before the end of the season, but he's got the same amount of assists that he's tallied up till now.
Exactly.
You'll take that because he'll be double figures for assists, and you always look for somewhere he can improve. That's where he can improve for next season, is getting more goals.
I still thought he stuck it away well.
Yep.
And any impact of the game, which is what the manager wants to do, the relief in his face was there for all to see. Yep. And I think he realised it was a slow burner for him. They actually realised he'd scored, and then he jumped up and punched the air. But that was kind of thank goodness I've managed to do it, So I hope he can relax and maybe produce some more of them, Sean. And who's to say that in the next couple of weeks he'll force his way into the cup final team?
I mean, there's a good shout. I mean, in the lead up to the last derby, and Aaron Moyes' form had already turned because it was after that had kind of started happening. I still said I just didn't see Matt O'Reilly not starting in that game, and he did start. He didn't have his best game, and Moy came on and actually 30 minutes of Aaron Moy was Stuart Ross's analytics piece after it. He came on and he played a vital role, Aaron Moy. So it's not as clear cut this time. I don't think I'm not necessarily or must be Matt O'Reilly. Maybe still might still go Matt O'Reilly, but the last time I was absolutely convinced it was going to be Matt O'Reilly that started. This time, I think credit to Aaron Moy, I'm not quite as wedded to that idea.
Well, 2 weeks before we find that out, Sean, and the manager, as he always does, will be watching them in training. I thought some of the managers' comments were excellent as well, Sean, with regards to speculation and all that. He kind of nailed that a wee bit, did he not?
He did, I mean, without obviously explicitly saying, listen, I'm not going anywhere, but he addressed it in probably a fitting way in terms of what he said, in the way that he kind of put it back onto the performance, the players, realising the size of club that he's at, all of that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't be going running to Southampton anytime soon and saying, right, have you got a plane booked?
Or Motherwell or Partick Thistle, Sean.
Or Motherwell or Partick Thistle, aye. I must admit, what stood out to me from that, from his post-match stuff, wasn't necessarily all that stuff. It was the way that he said at half-time. They were obviously, it was a fairly close game, closer than what they've been used to lately, maybe. And the way that he told them at half-time, it wasn't earth-shattering. It's probably what he says a lot of the time, but the fact that it was a game that was a wee bit closer, and the way that he said it, he said, just stay strong, stay disciplined into our structure. And this one was a bit that I like, and eventually they'll break.
Yeah.
And they did. The subs came on, obviously, and it made an impact then. It's not as if they broke in the 46th minute, but they did break. He was right. And that's why I think, all right, they did go down to 10 men, but they were still 1-0 up when that happened. They were still winning. And the fact that it ended 5-1, all right, the 5-1 might be a wee bit flattering. But to me, I still think they would have won regardless. Yeah,
I convinced they would have won. And I said 3-0. So when it went to 3-0, I was sitting there quite smug. And then it went to 3-1, and Aidan texted two of us, didn't he?
He was very quick off the mark, Tony, wasn't he? With a shifty eye emoji. And,
he was very smug. I wondered who picked 3-1, and then within 2 minutes, he was like, well.
To be fair, neither of us two even dignified him with a response for that. And then Celtic scored again, and he went, it doesn't matter.
Yes, indeed. So young Aidan, I mean, it's never over till it's over. But yeah, I was impressed with that as well when I said that they would finally break. And I think Celtic, the way they were playing when the subs came on, we're going to break them down, regardless of the sending off and the penalty. But yeah, they had a big bearing on it, Sean. Mm-hmm. Any other business, Sean, that you think we should be talking about? Anyone else's performance or anything?
Not necessarily anybody else's performance, but I'm going to flick this up. FSC's an outstanding set of interim financial results released on Friday, which is true, Tony. And I'll put a link in just now because Kieran Canning football finance expert journalist. He went through it for us and kind of explained a couple of things, because obviously the main news was 34 million of profits, but Kieran was kind of explaining to us Celtic tend to front load when it comes to the financial report. So the first 6 months they tend to make a profit, but they tend to make a loss in the last 6. So he explains why that's the case. He explains the Champions League impact and why it bodes well for next term. He even goes so far as to say if Celtic parlay this 9-point lead into a title and therefore secure Champions League football again, then Ange Postecoglou should be chapping Michael Nicholson's door and saying I should be able to spend at least what I spent last summer, which bodes well, Tony. So he also points out that despite the very good results here, it's arguably even better when you think on it in a way that it doesn't include the Juranovic or Giacomakis money. It doesn't include much in the way of player trading, because it's really only Christopher Julien fee, which was 1.8 million, I think, all things considered. So that is even better reading when you think on it that way. So yes, he's saying when it comes to the end of year, it'll not be maybe quite as sexy as this one, because there's maybe not the level of profits. But in terms of the cash in the bank, in terms of the state of the club at this interim juncture, it's very, very good reading. And, well, very good reading for those of a Celtic persuasion, maybe not so good reading for the rest of Scottish football.
Rude financial health, would you say, Sean?
Yes, aye. I mean, Robert Gibson says I get very excited over accounts. I don't know if it's tongue-in-cheek or not, but not a lot of people do, right? And Kieran mentions that in it. There's a reality when it comes to Kieran's stuff, which I quite like, which is why we get him to do it. He points out very straightforward that fans don't celebrate a balance sheet, really, right?
No.
And when Ange Postecoglou talks about a responsibility away from the bank accounts, he refers to that in terms of making, I think the way Kieran puts it is, make the financial advantage count in Scotland, but so that you can make more of an impact in Europe. And Ange Postecoglou clearly gets that. That is obviously what he's trying to do. So I think very good news, all things considered.
And that's the balancing act for the manager, isn't it?
Yep.
To make that financial advantage work for you in Scotland, and as you say, make that impact in Europe, and that's what he's about. That's what he's trying to do. And
Robert Gibson says, tongue in cheek from an ex-accountancy student that lasted 2 weeks. Fair enough.
Was that a hard fortnight, Robert? Was it? Was somebody say sums in that?
Sums in that.
hard ones. Is that what it was? You need to give us more than that, Robert. That's quite amusing, to be fair. But Sean, no, I say on and off the park, then Celtic seem to be heading in the right direction, doing all the right things, and but as you say, supporters get excited by stuff on the park, don't they? Not what's off it.
Nah, I think I'm only going to flick this up just because I like the player. Beach Boy saying if he gets an open checkbook, number one signing should be Kelleher from Liverpool. He'd be keeper for the next 10 years. He's a backup keeper, Tony, and I actually think he would be great at Celtic because he's also not bad with the ball at his feet for a keeper. But I think maybe the wages would be a stumbling block because he's on good money at Liverpool. But possibly, I'm just putting that up because that's a kind of FIFA signing for me, I would say. That's a good signing on FIFA, but whether there's an actual chance of it in reality, I don't know. But
a football manager signing, Sean, is
yeah,
it?
That's it.
Yeah, for those who are down with those kind of games, yes, indeed. Excuse me. Well, Sean, happy Monday again.
Yep.
We move on to the draw tonight at 5:30.
We'll react to that tomorrow, I presume.
Yes, indeed. We'll speak about that tomorrow. Just direct everybody to our deals that we have, and you could win 2 Celtic versus Rangers League Cup final tickets by subscribing to the Celtic Way website, and it costs £1 for 3 months. And all you have to do is click that button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. The draw when is the draw, Sean? The 23rd of February. You've got till 11:59 on the 22nd.
Yep, that's it.
To fill in the forums and get them away and be in the draw for those tickets. That's a wonderful prize. You could be there at Hampden for the first showpiece occasion of the season.
And again, if you are an existing subscriber and haven't seen an email, please search your emails, check your spam folders, and if you still can't find it, either email me or Tony or direct messages on Twitter and we'll try and sort you out.
Excellent. And we also say thank you to SENECA Medical Group are now the sponsors of the Celtic Way morning briefing, and SENECA are the #1 leading hair transplanters and hair restoration treatments in Europe. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the video. So we thank you guys. Thanks for your comments today. Speak me G asking if the builders are on a sabbatical. Nearly finished the garden. I'll be back in my house at some point this week, I believe. That's what they told me. So there you have it. Anyway, but thank you guys. Enjoy your Monday. Glad you enjoyed the weekend. Celtic are in the quarterfinal of the Cup. We'll find out their opponents tonight. Sean, we'll discuss who they are tomorrow. Yep. Thank you, Sean, for your contribution. First class as always. Take care, guys, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, Tony.